They say hunting and fishing can be dated back more than 2 million years. Throughout the years, the historic angler and hunter has steadily evolved into the avid hunter and angler that we know and love today. Welcome to the Outdoor Defiance podcast. As you listen, you will hear comical stories, companies talking about their products, researchers talking about their research, and overall ways to help you become a better outdoorsman. Welcome to today's episode.
What's up, everyone? It's Wednesday, and we have a new guest with us. We're excited about this one. This guy has a bright future, in my opinion, in our industry, and we hope that we can watch him grow because we've been following him pretty much almost from the beginning till now, and what he's done is crazy. So with that being said, here's Drew with Bullpath Gear. Drew, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. And first, I do want to let you guys know that it's an honor for you guys to have me on because this is pretty cool. This is actually like the first podcast for Bullpath, and hopefully, this is a probably good history to look back on and see how far I came. So
yeah,
thank you.
No problem. Yeah. We love having you, and so this is our episode 6. So we're just getting started here on the podcast ourselves. But I think it'd be neat from watching where we went or where we were to where we are. Because I mean, what, Drew, you're probably in your 20s too, I'm guessing?
Yep, 25. I just turned 25.
So, yeah. So Gunner's the young one in the group, and I'm the grandpa.
23.
So I mean, what will 5 or 6 years, this will be really neat to look back on. So I really think we have something special in this industry going. And anyways, I can go on about that, but all I gotta say is there's not too many young faces in the game right now, and the people that I know that are our age, they have it going. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's dive in right to our first topic. Drew, tell us how you got started in the outdoors.
Okay, so I didn't grow up in the outdoors. I would assume like how you guys grew up, probably really young. You guys been surrounded it probably by your entire life, along with a lot of other hunters. But for me, it all started. I mean, I guess I was young. I never really got to hunt at all. But growing up, my dad was a prison guard for one of the state penitentiaries here in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So any event that we would go to, like they would hold softball events for all the state prisons against like all the COs. And every time I was around any of my dad's friends, they would always be talking about hunting. And then eventually, I'd go over to their house sometimes for events as well, like UFC fights back in the day or whatever. And as soon as you walked into their house, you see big bucks on the wall and everything. And it always kind of intrigued me growing up. So as I turned, getting close to turning 16 here in the state of Ohio, you have to be 16 and have the hunter safety education course you have to go through. So I did that. My dad put me through that when I was, at that age. And ever since that moment, I got my hunter education. He bought me a bow that year, and that's where it all happened. I found a public piece of land where I could hunt real close to my house. It's actually about 15 minutes from me, and that's where I started hunting. So
did you have to go to the actual class, or did they have it online at that time?
No, it was in person. It was a 12-hour. Yeah. It was a 12-hour course.
A lot of these kids now don't even know that there was a thing like that. But I remember we had a lunch break, and it was 12 hours. That's all we had to sit there. You got, I think, an hour for lunch, and then So
wait, they do all online?
What now they do?
What?
Yeah, and it's sad to say. There's a lot of people that their parents are taking it for them because.
Where did you go? Where'd you go, Taylor?
I went to Pawnee Auditorium.
I went. So the day I went, my dad took me across from his office in Perry, just at like I don't know, is it the courthouse over there or something like that? Yeah, that's where I went, and it was like a 12-hour ordeal too. And at the end, they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, here's this big test," and
Yeah.
they
Yep.
had everyone else grade it like you passed. You how you did in like elementary school or whatever. You pass your test back out, but other kids grade your test.
Yep, that's
So
what
you're
happened at
like, look,
mine.
Yep.
yeah, you're looking around, you're like, all right,
Oh,
these
dude.
dudes better be grading my test, right?
Dude, I was so nervous because we actually had to turn our tests in, and they were the couple the people that organized this whole ordeal. They were the ones that were grading the tests, and I remember I was just sitting in my chair for like 10 minutes, and I was just so nervous because I thought I failed. But they called me up and they handed me my test, and I got like a 90%, and I was so happy.
Yeah, so Justice has got hers, my girlfriend, and it was about 2 years ago. And she's like, "Do I have to go to a class?" And I was like, "No, it's online." And she's like, "I don't know much about the outdoors." And I'm like, "On you, they make it so simple these days." Yeah, I know plenty of people that probably shouldn't let this dude online that are out there hunting. But hey,
Yeah.
you know,
And it was a
at
good
least
experience too, because we actually got to see they got to demonstrate how to actually like gut a rabbit, gut they
really.
yeah, they actually did some like instructions like right in front of us on how to like gut some animals.
Wow, yeah, no, we watched, PowerPoint, and, they did have a gun, and we're showing how to, like, load it, a shotgun and a rifle, and, like, where to keep your barrel and all that.
Hmm.
So, I've always wondered, with how everything is in our world. I wonder if schools still have that and if they still let them bring those or not, but it's just crazy that even, hearing from our parents and when we were kids going, "Well, back in the day," now we're sitting here in our 20s, and it wasn't really that far ago, and we're like,
Yeah, I know.
the stuff that happened that now would not slide.
I know. It's
So
kind of crazy.
you said you started hunting this, public piece. Was it only, archery hunting or
No, you can it's archery hunting, but you could also if there's gun season when it comes around, you can go out there and hunt with a gun as well. But that first year, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and honestly, I had no idea what I've been doing probably ever since that time until about 2 years ago. But and during that season, my first season, I didn't know what I was doing. I would go out. I had a climber tree stand that my uh, brother let me borrow, and I would just randomly sit in the woods, just sit up in a tree. And if I saw a deer, I would get down from the tree and go to where the deer was at. And I would just sit there and wait and I just wait for deer. I had no idea what I was doing. So
I'm glad you figured it out. I still don't know what I'm doing.
I am the same way. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
we're all trying to figure it out, really.
We're all trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us just
But
got luck, and that helps out a lot more than skill.
yeah. But that entire year for me hunting, dude, it was nothing but just downhill because I went out there probably like 2 to 3 times a week, go out and hunt, and I would see deer and they'd probably be about 20, 30, 40 yards away from me at a couple times, and I would miss. And dude, my whole setup was completely messed up. I had a bow that wasn't actually to my draw length. The arrows were all messed up. It was bad. Because like I
Yeah.
said, I had no idea what I was doing. But I hunted all that time, and then the very last day of archery season, I asked one of my dad's friends that's a big time hunter. I asked him like, "Can I please hunt your land just one time?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." So I walked up to his tree stand that early morning, and I remember it was really cold, it was freezing, and the wind was actually pushing towards me. And so I was downwind, and I saw this little doe walk out. It was probably about 50 yards away from me. And I drew back, and I was just like, "Oh, come on, please give me a good shot." And then it just started walking away. And I'm like, "Man, are you kidding me?" So then I put the bow down. And then as time went by, the the doe did like a little J hook and started heading straight towards me. And so then I drew my bow, and the deer just kept getting closer and closer until it was literally underneath me. and I remember just like completely blacking out. And the next thing I know was that the deer was on the ground right in front of me.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to hunting.
What was the first how old or how many years after that did it take for you to get your first buck down?
I actually got my first buck this year.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. It wasn't a big buck, but this year was
Right.
actually like this year was like the first year that I actually took it serious and started learning how to actually read the terrain and understand how deer move and, use the wind to your advantage.
Huh.
So it took me a while.
Hey, at least you learned. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the experience, At
Yeah.
least you have something to look forward to and keep building on. That's what I love about the game is there's always something you can learn and get better at. So
Yeah, and
And-
it's kind of crazy just because like it never really occurred to me like as I was growing up hunting, it never really occurred to me to like try to understand, deer movement and how to like utilize a harvest. And I never really thought like that for some reason. So I'd always go out into the woods and kind of just waste time.
I was gonna say, like, a lot of people just like to get out there. Like, one of my grandpa's best friends, we've talked about him for too, Blaine. I don't even know if he takes bullets with him. I think he just kind of goes out there because he likes he likes being out there, and he likes to say he's deer hunting. But a lot of people I know just like, they just like being out there with them. That's a big part of like whenever I go out of state and stuff, if I'm seeing deer or if I'm in elk or if I'm in, whatever, I'm having a blast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm having a blast seeing animals, getting to go after these different animals. That's my perspective on the ordeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gunner has that luck aspect that I talk about. He has it. Yeah, I catch it every now and then, but every now and then the blind squirrel finds a nut, and that's me.
You found it in Colorado.
Huh?
You found it in Colorado.
I was kind of reading into your story on your website, and I kind of go through there when people come on if they have one and read about you, and go into kind of how you started Bullpath and kind of what made you start it. I read it, so I'm kind of looking for, when you got what made you mad to get you to where you are now.
Okay, yeah. Well, for the opening season, I know I have my years wrong because everything kind of blends together with because I have so much stuff going on. But I think it was in the year of 2021. I've always had just a tree stand. I had 3 climbing sticks, and obviously like your safety line for your safety harness. And then I also had a safety line that would go up to the top of the tree. So I remember I set that up at the public land that I hunt out of. And I remember, like I said, it's kind of hard to remember the exact like time, but I just remember going out there and I was ready to hunt and I was all excited, and it was opening day, and getting to that tree, realizing that everything was gone. And to this day, I'm still pretty upset about that, but some thief took it. And from that moment, I just remember thinking to myself, like, I will never allow this to happen again. And that's kind of what started my journey to find a way to hunt without having to carry all the extra weight and leave something up in a tree. And eventually I stumbled upon saddles. So that's how it happened. It all started with some thief stealing my stuff and me getting pretty mad about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty upset too.
Oh, dude, I was so mad. I was mad.
I've had people walk up to my cameras and look at them and touch them, but they've never taken one yet. So
yeah. Well, the crazy thing was is that the way how I had it set up is I would set everything up. I'd have the 3 climbing sticks up on the tree, but I would take the bottom 2 out. So like there's no way you can get up and reach the climbing stick. So they had to have had like some extra gear or something to get up in there, and they stole everything. And I was heartbroken, to be honest.
Yeah, that's aggravating, man. I one time I was going hunting with Gunner, and the night before I put all my decoys in the back of my truck,
Hmm.
and so it was about 2 to 3 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I'm gonna go load my truck up, so I'll be ready in the morning. So I run out there, put them up. I know I was in bed about 3:30, and no, I'm at 2:30. Then you get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I go outside, start my truck, and it's a diesel, so I need to warm up a little bit. And I was like, I swear I loaded my truck last night, and I was like, but half my stuff isn't in here. They
Mm.
like went through and took all my goose decoys, but didn't even touch like my A-frame, my duck decoys. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I know the feeling. I mean, I just bought those. They were like I've had them for like 2 weeks. I want to say, Gunner. I bought like
Mhm.
6 or 7 dozen goose floaters, and yeah, so
Yeah.
I understand when you walk outside and see that,
Yeah.
you're just ready. So, but no, I get that. So, did you when you started, did you like mess with other saddles, um, or did you like say, okay, I'm going to build my own right away?
No, I actually, it's kind of crazy because I remember right after I had everything stolen, you know how I said I was real mad and I'm going to make sure no one does this again.
Hmm.
So I started researching and I started going down the rabbit hole of like different hunting styles, and I stumbled upon saddle hunting, and like the world just opened up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that this exists. And I was super stoked. And I remember going to my local outfitter store to buy one of my competitors' saddles. And I remember being super excited, and I purchased it. I brought it home, and I remember as soon as I opened it up, I started looking at it, and I'm like, dude, I can do this. I'm like, I could literally build this right here, right now. So that's what happened. I saw the saddle, and I convinced myself that I could build a saddle, and that's kind of what I did. But it took a long time to get to that, the actual the actual saddle part where you make something, of your liking, and it's not a piece of dookie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, well, so before we get any farther, just go ahead and tell us kind of what bull path is. That way, people, if they haven't caught on to what you do yet, we can kind of get the
Yeah.
image in their head.
So Bull Path is I guess you could say it's a saddle hunting company that manufactures gear. But I don't want to be just limited to saddle hunting. I also I'm in the works of producing some gear for that can be useful for like elk hunters, or all sorts of different hunting. But
Mhm.
the main specialty is definitely saddle hunting, and that's where I want to thrive in. But Bull Path, it's kind of weird just because it's kind of named after my dad a little bit. My dad, he's half Mexican, and his nickname is Spanish Bull, just because
Mhm.
he's a big, real stocky guy, and he's a prison guard, and you don't want to mess with him. And I've always pictured him as like a bull, and I've always kind of had like a thought process of like, I'm on the bull path, like I'm the bull, and like I'm the bull, and you better not be in my way, or I'm gonna
Yeah,
trample you down. So that's kind of where Bull Path was named.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, if anyone hasn't looked, his logo, it's a buffalo, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's a bison.
It's a bison, yeah,
Yeah.
and has a flag around the front or third of it. It's super cool.
Hmm.
So I love your logo. Every time I look at it, I'm like, man, that's so cool.
No
So
kidding.
it sticks out.
That's sweet.
So, so you got into it. When did you decide? All right, I can produce these, and people are going to like this. Like when was that aspect?
So it was between me wearing the competitor saddle, me using
Mhm.
it, actually hunting. It actually made me pretty upset that it made me really upset that once I started using it, that there was a couple flaws that upset me. There were certain aspects of the saddle that didn't feel good, and there was some things that I felt like was missing that could help me, during my hunt. And then I remember purchasing one of their other products. It was a pouch. And I remember just looking at the pouch and everything because I was obsessed over it. And I remember reading the little label that said "Made in China." So that really that made me really upset. I'm like, man, I thought these guys were building everything here in America and whatnot. So then I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna start building this stuff. So that's how it really happened. Just
And
pure, just anger, to be honest.
yeah. So while we're on the subject, you actually everything that's on your saddle is made in America, isn't it? Or
No, not everything. There's one portion of the saddle that is not made in America, but everything else that we offer, as in like the bull pack or the sand pouch or the tree tethers and the lineman's rope, it's all made in America.
so yeah, and you told me on the phone, if I remember right, the one thing that isn't, it's because there's not someone here, or
That
it's
is
really expensive, right?
Yes, that is correct. It's the tubular webbing here. I'll actually grab it real quick. It's this portion of the saddle right here. It's the tubular webbing right here that I cannot find to be made in America for something that I would like to utilize onto the saddle.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest issues that I've been definitely running into, is that kind of stuff. But everything else is American sourced.
And hold your hands up like that real quick for me. And that's what they're made by, everyone. If you didn't know, it's him and like 3 people.
It's my dad and my girlfriend.
Yeah, and you. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's another crazy thing that I really respect of you. It's made in your facility, and you know, and as time passes, from our last conversation on the phone, it's not like you want to get up to a little bit bigger facility, but you never want to leave your roots of where it's made and how it's made. So that is so awesome about you.
I was going to ask how many. So any great inventor has to go through models, right? How many models did you go through to get to where you felt, you know what I mean? Like how many times, you don't have to go like, oh, it took 130 or whatever, but like how many models did it take you to get to the point where like, I'm proud of this product, I'm going to put it out there?
Honestly, it was 15. I don't remember the number, but it was, I have them stored up in boxes, but it was like
That's
15 to 20 different models that varied in different dimensions. So I would have to say probably like 30 complete saddles, 30 or so complete saddles of like different dimensions and like different variations of the saddle, to where ultimately led to the bull threat saddle that we have.
That's awesome.
Did on the first one, did you hand sew it?
Yes. No, I didn't hand sew it. I sewed it with a very cheap sewing machine that I picked up from, I think I bought it offline off of like Office Max or something along those lines.
How nervous when you got up in the first time trying it, got up in the tree? Were you like, please hold on?
I know, honest to God, the first couple saddles that I made, I didn't trust myself, so I didn't use that. I didn't use it. So, and they were really ugly, and I didn't want to use it at all, so I didn't want to test it. But the weird thing is I didn't know you needed like an industrial sewing machine to actually build, like a saddle or something else, like actually good stuff. So what I had to do is I spent $400 for a little sewing machine, and it didn't work out. The thread kept snapping. The needles would break off into the fabric because the fabric's too thick. So then I bought another sewing machine that is like considered, I guess, industrial, that can actually sew through lots of layers of fabrics. And that's when I started testing the saddle up in the tree.
So your first test, were you about like 2 foot off the ground before?
Oh, yeah. There's no way. There was no way I was going up any higher than that.
It's funny. Would you just get in it? Were you like doing one of those things, the little rocker, to make sure it didn't break?
Yeah, well, I did everything that I could to break it, and it wouldn't break. So I thought I was onto something, and just kept going from there and improving the design. And improving the thread quality to make sure everything holds together. And yeah.
So if someone didn't know you and came up to you the first time and asked you, what is Bullpath's message? How would you answer that?
It's uphold principle. That's my message. Just because I stand behind that. I don't know do you guys have any idea what I mean by uphold principle? Because I don't feel like a lot of people do.
No, explain it.
Okay,
Yes.
well, uphold principle to me, it means to uphold and to never deviate from your own value system, morals, ethics, everything along those lines. And to be honest, I don't like people that just go with the flow. I don't like to rock with people that really don't have a backbone or stand for anything. So that's what I mean by when I say uphold principle, just to make sure that you're a good person, making sure that you're trying to improve yourself day by day, but just making sure that you uphold the standard that you set for yourself.
Right.
But I do want to have a caveat that everybody is human. There's a lot of actually everybody has a bad past. There's skeletons in our closet. So you have to remember that we're not perfect. We're always going to not be the best version that we can be day by day. But I feel like uphold principle is a good message just to, possibly motivate somebody to just keep on pushing and keep being a good person.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone says they haven't had a low in life, I mean, it's coming. I mean, if everyone has had nothing but a high in their life, then
yeah,
they're lying, or something's gonna come. And I'm sorry to say like that, but I thought for a long time as a kid, I was like, oh, this is great, and then it didn't get so great for a little bit. So
yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, we all have, like you said, not me, we all have skeletons in the closet, and that's one thing. While we're on the subject, I know it's way off where we're talking about, but if you can't, if you're around people that have those in the closet and you can't forgive them for it, then there's a problem too, because
Yeah.
everyone's
Exactly.
trying to get better, and I have mistakes. I have some big
Yep.
mistakes for my age, but I'm telling you, I'm pushing through. I've been called about every word in the book, but hey, here I
Yep.
am. I've washed my hands clean. I know where my faith is, and I'm living. So, but
That's how it should be, man.
oh, absolutely. So, what would you say some of your biggest struggles have been with the company?
Well, man, I could say a lot, like almost everything, to be honest, because it's kind of hard to put into words how hard it really is to somebody that has never really sewn, or I don't know if you guys have sewn.
I
Have
have
you
a
guys
little.
sewn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once you start diving into like just so many little things when it comes to like a sewing machine, or so many things about the different types of materials that you
Mhm.
could possibly be using, it's so vast and crazy that you have to learn, to make sure that everybody's safe that uses your products. And so the learning curve was extremely hard. I'm talking very, very hard, because you're not going to get it in one day. It took me months and months and months of trial and error every single day, 10 plus hours a day, just trying to get something down, So there's that. Also, the vendor thing, American vendors, manufacturers, pretty hard to work with. A lot of them, I would say 90% of them, require a minimum for any sort of material. So if I wanted to order 1-inch webbing for my saddles, I have to put in a $10,000 order. So
Holy cow.
yeah, and that's what sucks. So there's that. Also, there's been 2 companies that I've worked with that didn't do that, but then they went out of business. And I'm sitting here scrambling to find a replacement for a key component of our saddle.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. That one has been really challenging for some reason, but I've just recently partnered up with a manufacturer that will be supplying us with stuff that hopefully, keeps us going and not have to worry about that kind of thing again. So there's that. And then I would say on like the internet side, social media content is definitely,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That's rough.
It's one of the hardest things there is.
Absolutely. And people
Yeah.
do not understand that. And I'm like, it's a different animal. It's not just posting a picture. It's posting the picture, making the caption, using the right things to get someone else's attention. I mean, it's
Yes.
as soon as you got it, something changes. And you're like, what happened? I literally has got a 200 and something likes or 80,000 views on this video. And now I'm getting 5. Like, what?
Yep.
You know, and that's what we struggle with. Some of our better videos, in my opinion, do not have near the views of some of the other ones. I'm like, how?
I know.
But it's all it's the wording, hashtags, keywords, and you know, for instance, like we have a coyote hunt video out, and I was in a tournament that weekend, so I really wasn't there at a video, but I tried my hardest, and I got most of them on shot. Might not have been zoomed in, but I put on that, and then I put kill shots only, and dude, it took off, and I'm like, well, everything's gonna be a kill shot only from here on out. That's what it does. But no, that's great. It's definitely a different animal that people don't know about.
Yeah.
Do you run your own social media?
Yep.
You do? Yeah.
Yep.
I figured you did. I just figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
I heard about you from Jesse McDermott, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pretty good friend of mine, and he's all about the get after it public land saddle stuff. So that's where he heard about you, and then I heard about you through him. So you're growing somewhere. There you go.
Yeah,
Social media's
cool,
getting
man.
after.
It's getting
Just
crazy.
giving you a positive outlook on your social media there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Would one of you think another problem you have is it hard to getting people to trust you versus the other companies? Is that a kind of a struggle you have since you're newer? No,
not really, man. I'm not overly worried about that, just because my thought process is the results will show. And you know, I'm just so passionate, and I don't know, man. I just trust I trust the process. I'm not overly worried about it. I know I'm still very, very new and fresh. So obviously people aren't going to be hearing about me or buying my stuff as much as they would with the other people. But once you realize that once I start getting bigger and I'll be showing like how we build the saddles and everything is made here in America, I feel like the results will show for itself. So I'm not too overly concerned about it.
Yeah, that's one thing you can't get worried about that I learned is I don't even look at the views on our stuff anymore, because you get down, you're like, what? I mean, you just got to keep trucking and your time will come. And that's me and me and Gunner and Hunter's advantages are super close. And that's what I talk to them all the time. You know, they were like, just keep pounding away. You know, our time will come. And that's what, I believe in it. It's going to come eventually. Worst comes to worst, we've built this friendship with people that you can't pay money to get those. So, but no, keep it up. Like I said, I've watched you growing over in the last about year and a half through your social media alone, and just watching your videos and just seeing how you talk. I mean, you're getting way better there too. So I'm not saying you're a bad talker, but from one of your first videos to like the one you put out today, how confident you are behind it. Oh man, you're getting there.
Yeah.
Or there, in my opinion.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my biggest thing for I don't know, I just have such a passion for just making sure that everything is done correctly and helping fellow Americans, man, because I have huge dreams and goals for this company. And eventually I would love to hire a lot of employees to make sure and to provide, a good career for like-minded individuals that would love to get, into this kind of space.
Right.
So that's my mission, is to just have everything streamlined and sourced out of America. And if that isn't possible, I have a couple projects here coming up that I can make it possible. So
yeah, I feel like once you have the sewing down, there's a lot of things if you start looking that you could start making too. And So I feel like that's an awesome concept because I love building stuff myself. And I don't have like a sewing machine, but I've done some time with one and doing several stuff, but I've always loved it. So earlier you brought a saddle out, and I know they might not be completely done because you're down there kind of where you build them. But why don't you bring one out and kind of show us, what your product is?
Okay. So here is the Bull Threat V1 saddle. This is what it looks like. Can you guys see that pretty good?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So what should I talk about? Like I said, everything on here is American made except for this tubular webbing right here that goes up on the lineman loops and the accessory loop down here. But yeah, I have for this saddle, you can it comes with an individual waist belt, and it has a slot right here on both ends, so you can easily adjust the waist belt for your fitting. It's 12 inches in width, 26 inches, or no, 12 inches in height, and it's 26 inches in width, so it can fit you pretty comfortably. The only issue is with like a single panel design like this, you can't like perfectly, at least in my opinion, because I've tried a lot, you can't make something to where it does the leaning portion perfect and the sitting portion perfect. Like this thing is actually pretty good for leaning, and it's pretty good for sitting, but it does neither perfect. You know how like the expandable saddles, like the Cruiser or whatever, you know how they expand out.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, well those are actually pretty comfortable, but it's kind of in my opinion, it's been a pain to like lean into if you want to do a little bit of leaning while you're hunting. But yeah, here's my saddle. You got suspender holders, so you can add any suspender that you would like. This is 2-inch Ranger green webbing. I don't want to tell you what kind of webbing it is because it took me a long time to learn about that. And okay, and then for the molly loops, you have 8 molly loops on each side of the saddle. So like one up here, 8 from the middle, so 8, and then 8, so you can add whatever accessory you want pretty well. And then here are the leg straps. These are also American made. I don't have the buckles on them, but the buckles that come with these, the Coyote Brown buckles, those are American made as well. So like I said, everything's American made. It's hand built actually right here. And there's definitely been a couple updates from like the very first one that I released. Like the very first Bull Threat saddle that I did, these molly loops were actually much longer and wider than what these are right now. I just found that if you have them a little bit shorter, like close to an inch to like an inch and a half, those are about perfect to easily attach whatever gear you want onto your saddle. So that's a little bit about the saddle.
I need to get into that game. I have not gotten into the saddle game yet, but I think you convinced me. I've been thinking about it for a while.
Okay.
So I was definitely going to try it at some point, but I think I'm going to try it quicker than I thought I was going to try it. So we'll see.
What intrigues you?
The mobility of it.
Intrigues you.
The mobility of the whole thing. I just recently went to Kansas and hunted on some walk-in stuff. I used a Hawk Helium, just a climber like that. And even though it was light enough to where I could carry it around or whatever, there's that extra dimension. You think in the back of your head, like, once I got it up in the tree and everything, I did, I moved it a couple times, but it got to a point where it's like, dang, is there an easier way to do this? And I've done the whole research thing with the saddle and stuff, and I think I'm definitely gonna try it. So especially if I draw Kansas again this year, I'm going there for turkey hunting. I just found out I drew today. So I'm gonna scout out hopefully the region. I'm gonna hopefully draw this year for deer. So if I draw, I definitely will be getting a saddle, I think. So,
yeah, I've never tried one either.
Oops, sorry. You go.
I was saying I've never tried one either. I just just seeing the cost on them. I've always wanted to find someone that had one and kind of getting one and set it for a little bit and just test it out, because I mean there's a whole different concept there when it comes to tree stand versus saddle. I have some very comfortable tree stands, hang on stands I like, and I'm like, and I have two spots I love to go, and that's where my two favorite stands are. Where I'm like, if I could get just as comfortable and not have to deal with all these tree stands and taking them down every year, putting them up, then you find one, you get up there and it's prime morning and something's squeaking. You're like, what is going on? But I've thought about it, and it's like Gunnar said, this kind of year, we've talked about too. I think it's time that we try it, one of us, anyways, because then what people say, I mean, I haven't heard anything bad other than from older people, but that's also a lot of older people do not like to change their ways. So,
yeah, I will tell you guys, it's kind of a big learning curve once you, because there's a lot you need to learn about like the safety and whatnot going up and down the tree. So you guys got to make sure you guys have enough practice in before you do actually any hunting. But once you get really efficient with it, you can get into some wild, crazy trees without like any safety issues or anything. I've been in some crazy trees this year and kind of surprised that I was able to fit in some trees and go around all kinds of branches and stuff safely. And that's why I love saddle hunting so much. It's so versatile, and I can quickly get up and down a tree without leaving anything behind and just go crazy with it.
Going back on making them, how long does it take you from start to finish? If you were to sit down and do one, do you think it takes you
6 hours?
6 hours
from complete start to finish for one saddle. Wow.
That's honestly a little quicker than I was expecting you to say. So that's impressive to me, honestly.
I will tell you that when I first started out, it took me like a week to build one. Because that's
really what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say it takes me about a week or a couple days or 6 hours. I mean, it looks pretty high quality to me.
I will tell you, there is a system that I have, gotten down to where I can be a lot more efficient than what I used to be. Especially when I have my dad or my girlfriend or all three of us are actually working all together at the same time, and we can we can crank out a saddle in about I would want to say about 3 to 4 hours with the three of us, but 6 hours if I was just by myself.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I was expecting around that, but man, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, it is.
Do you get do you guys have to stay constantly on the grind to put them out so you don't get behind, or?
Yep. All the time.
Yeah.
Yep. And that has definitely been, another issue where we do get behind.
Yeah.
Just because, sometimes it comes in fluctuations. Like sometimes the demand is high for like a week, and then for the next couple weeks, it'd be really dead and slow. And that's just the name of the game, though. But when it's high and the demand is high, it gets kind of hectic.
Do you always keep the saddles in stock online, or?
Yep, I try.
Yeah, I didn't know if you made them as they were ordered or how you did that.
No, I actually have 8 of them right now, sitting right next to me up on a wall, ready to be shipped whenever somebody orders one.
Gunner, get online, fill it out.
I already looked. I literally, that's what I was doing. I was on my phone. I was literally looking at the different stuff. I've looked at the website before. I was looking at the different stuff, and he's running a sale right now, actually. So,
there
you go, people. He's running a sale.
Yeah, hey, I like how you tied that in there. If you're watching, will this still be on sale by next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, if you're listening, there you go. Check them out online. Is it bullpath.com?
Bullpathgear.com. Yep.
Bullpathgear.com.
I do want to let you guys know, though, I'm not much of a discount, like sale kind of guy, and I don't think I ever will be, like where I give like huge what is that, Black Friday sales and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to do that, just because it kind of takes away the to me, it kind of it's demoralizing to realize how much effort you put into something,
Yeah.
and then you give someone it cheaper and whatnot. So
Yeah, I get that. Especially 6 hours of saddle. I mean,
yeah,
doesn't
and
doesn't
that took a long time to get there too.
yeah, I was about to say, and that doesn't come with free labor and free mess ups every time you did a mess up trying to learn. I mean, it cost you. So
Thousands and
yeah.
thousands. Yeah.
Do you have one saddle you make, or do you have different models?
So I have one saddle right now, but I have worked on different designs of different saddles that I want to put out on the market here next year.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do have a couple things. I will be releasing another saddle, not next year, this upcoming year. But right now, just one saddle.
And then I know you came out with the pouch, and then you also come out with like the back support, the back strap support.
Yep.
So tell someone if they didn't know what the back support was. Tell us what that is.
So basically, if you run a single panel design, kind of like the Bull Threat V1, the single panel design, you can easily just hook up the back band around your body and just hook it to your tree tether to where it supports your back, and then you have the saddle that you're hanging in.
Mm-hmm.
And it does provide a lot of comfort and stability when shooting, and it eases a lot of different kind of pains that you might go through, like lower back pain or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's kind of for lumbar support, isn't it?
Yep.
And then the pouch, it's for your ropes, isn't it?
Yeah, we have two pouches. One's like a lumbar bag that you can put on the back of the saddle, which I call the bull pack. And the other one is called the Sam pouch, stiff and mighty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one I've seen the videos of you trying to beat up, and it just does not give.
Yeah, it's an awesome pouch. So the reason why I made that is because one of the pouches that I received, like I said, from the competitor, every time I would try to put my rope in or out, no, just when I try to put my rope into the bag while I was up in the tree, it always like fold the bag in itself.
Yeah.
And that would just make me super upset. So I tried and eventually made a bag where it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bag, my old hunting bag. Everywhere where I store my batteries, it's the same thing. Every time I reach in there, something would be in the way and I couldn't get it. And there's times that I needed that battery right then and there. Matter of fact, one of my videos, my first archery buck, that was happening. My camera died. He was walking in, and it took me, I mean, it felt like 10 minutes, but I know it was probably 30 seconds. But my hand, every time I put my hand in the bag, it kept falling in on me. So, yeah,
Yep.
I get that feeling. It gets you so mad.
Oh,
And
yeah.
always,
Terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's always
Yeah.
at the worst time too.
yeah.
Terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
No, yeah.
What
I
is that?
know, yeah. When he started talking about that, I just got flashbacks from just about every time I've tried to reach into any bag and it's like concaved on me and I'm sitting there like trying not to get Steve anger on me, you know, just like about to shoot this doe in front of me because I'm so mad. Like, like you're gonna get taken out. I'm sorry, Bambi. Or, you know, something's gonna get shot here because I can't get into my bag. But
Yeah.
I feel exactly the pain you were speaking. So
Yep. But I will let you guys know, it does happen occasionally if you go crazy with it, but it's not you can easily just pull the lip right back up and, you know, it's not going to move on you.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a lot better, in my opinion, than these mesh pouches that a lot of these companies come out with. And it upsets me. So I made that. That's where it came from.
That's awesome to see. Like you see something you don't like, and then you come up with a way to make it better. That's cool.
Yeah. Yep. And I do that. I try to do that every single day, you know, and I
Yeah.
also love feedback from anybody. So anybody that, you know, is listening to this podcast and you have like a saddle or any piece of gear from me, just please reach out and tell me like what we can improve on. And, you know, I take feedback really serious because that's what's most important to me.
Well, not even honestly, I mean, it doesn't even have to be your equipment. If you guys have something from a different company that you do not like and you wish could be better, holler at him. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he's done it once, he can do it again. So
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely holler at him probably through Instagram or Facebook. Probably is that where you want him?
Yep. You can, yeah, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook's Bullpath, and then Instagram is Bullpath Gear.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on my website, you can find my email and phone number.
Oh, sweet. We've heard quite a bit about you, and you know, everything you say is great. So what, I guess my last question for you is kind of one of our keynotes that we went on our outline that we kind of skipped is what would your goals be with Bullpath?
Well, my goals is, to be honest, I don't like telling them to anybody, but I'll tell you one is to be the #1 hunting manufacturing company in America and have everything just, streamlined through America. And I don't want any involvement in any overseas, no Mexico, none of that. And I want to set the standard for this industry. So that's my goal.
Yeah, that's a big goal, and that's what that's some of the companies I like to buy from, or that's kind of their goals right there, and that just means a lot to me. I mean, I don't hate. I'm not saying I hate on anyone, but I mean, just from being from our home country is a rare thing, and I think that's something. If that speaks what that business is about, and that's what they do, I mean, that's just showing me that hey, this is what our quality stands behind. We stand behind this. Here's our goals, and that speaks volumes. And when I make decisions,
yeah.
So,
and
yeah, go ahead.
To be honest, even if you guys don't choose to support us, support me at Bullpath, you don't buy our gear or whatever, just make sure you support people that have the same values as you and they uphold integrity and everything else like I mentioned. Just make sure that you vote with your dollars, because that's probably the most important thing in our current economy right now. And just make sure that you're supporting people that are doing it right and not utilizing slave labor, like I like to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. But I'm interested in something hear something from you. You said you had to learn to hunt and fish and all this by yourself. Kind of what have you used for tools to teach you to get where you are, and to teach you over the aspects of hunting, the behind the scenes, stuff like that?
All of it is YouTube. That's
YouTube?
that's the one big source that you can learn almost anything from. And there's a lot of great there's a lot of great YouTubers out there that provide such great information that it's like I kind of have sat there sometimes and was like, man, I can't believe they're giving this away for free.
Yeah.
So
well, that was a key point here. So say, oh, I watch Outdoor Defiance all the time. No,
yeah. Oh yeah. You guys put out great content, valuable information. And I would say
funny.
There's a lot of people that put a lot of cool stuff out there to learn from.
Oh yeah, I watch pretty much watch YouTube all the time just for well, I like that you didn't have to watch commercials, but here recently the ads are unreal.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
crazy.
But just the raw footage of what people have on there. A lot of times when I'm watching TV, you watch 5 minutes of the actual hunt and 30 minutes or 20 minutes of them trying to sell something, and I'm like, listen, I can't afford that. So when you watch the people online, you connect with the people that kind of, are in your range of being able to get stuff done, because there's like some people are like, if you don't have the best bow, you don't have 4,000 acres, you're going to have a hard time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching you.
Yeah, exactly, man. That I came from humble beginnings where my first bow was, I think it was like $400, and all the things that I've acquired for my hunting gear and whatnot has been through hard work and sacrifice. So it's like I don't really I don't stand with the people that kind of do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes, when I had my first bow, one of my knock point, because it was my dad's bow, is a bear bow. Like in '92, Fred Bear is when they still called it Fred Bear.
Yeah.
And my knocking point for my vein was on my ear back here.
Oh,
That's how
dang.
far back I was like this. There were so many times I would go in with slap marks from the strings on my face, catch my nose. Like it was a big learning curve when I started shooting, because I'm telling you, it was way back here. And I was like, and
Yep.
then I had an old, like a True Glow or gold something sight. And I don't know who my dad took it to adjust it for him, but like all the Allen screws on there were all stripped. So like if you wanted to sight it in, it was like you only had one and it could move it the whole thing up and down. You couldn't move. There was one pin, it was the bottom pin that forever I kind of tried to move it for like 30 yards, but then I was like, well, heck, I could take that one out, put it up top. So I had like a 20-yard pin, and then the one below it was touching it. So like you had this little gap to look through because I couldn't adjust the second pin. And so it went 20 and then it went to 40. Between there, it was one of these things.
Yep.
So I remember the struggles, man, the amount of deer that you miss. That many times you go home and you're like, I'm selling everything. If it looks like camo, it's getting sold.
Heck, I still
That's
miss
how it
deer, like
is.
you're talking about.
Huh?
I said it's okay. It's
Everyone
been
misses deer, but
I'm trying to think. I've had
we
a
have
nice
better
streak
tools.
here. I've had a nice streak here. I had a really rough go at it after I killed that big deer. Like
Yeah.
I was missing, like I had a rough bow shooting go at it, but I figured it out. I was all right.
Yeah.
I've had two bows. I had the Diamond youth model that I killed one thing with, and it was that turkey that Taylor was like calling the Messiah over.
This turkey flew across the creek to come to us. I've never seen a turkey do that, but it flew across the creek and landed out in front of us.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We heard
when we
it.
were an hour before, we were on the other side of the creek and didn't hear a gobble.
No kidding, man.
And we came to the other side because this place is just always had turkeys. Well, normally it'd been on the north side of this creek, and we were like, okay, so we were really hunting that hard. And I've seen turkeys on the south side. Used to south side a ton of turkeys, but that year I hadn't seen a whole lot. So we were like, okay, we're gonna walk down this creek on the south side. We hear this turkey go off, and we're like, is he on the other side of the creek where we just were not 30 minutes ago? And so I look over there and I see him walking, to us. So Taylor like belly crawls out there, sticks the decoy in the ground, and we're still kind of calling it this thing. And we still kind of see it over there, but we kind of, and then we lose it, and we're like, "Where's he at?" And we hear, "Fuck, fuck, 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 fuck." This turkey flew over, did not fly and run. He literally midair through the trees landed.
Oh
next
my
to
god!
the decoy.
Dude.
And I've never killed anything with the bow ever. And I'm trying to kill. So this is back when Oklahoma was a 2-bird state. Well, county state, I say, because like it was a 2. Yeah. I killed one in one county, and I was in a different county, so I could kill another bird. And I shot this bird, and that was the only thing I ever killed with that bow until I got my other bow, and then I shot my first ever bow buck. Turned out to be, I can't ever do better.
State record, yeah. First bow kill with his new bow is a freaking state record.
Yeah, I know. You know what's crazy? Is I saw you on YouTube before I even knew who you guys were. That's what's wild.
Yeah, that's what people be like, oh, we saw you on here, or we saw you on this channel. And they're like, we had no idea you had your own channel. And it's crazy to say that because we started the channel before Gunner even shot that deer. Like, when did you harvest your first deer? Let's go talk about that.
When I was 16, that year that I got my my hunter education course or hunter safety course or whatever. So I think 2015, 2016. No, probably 2016. Yeah, I think 2016. So that was like my first time I ever killed a doe.
Did you when you started, were you able to drive, or did you have to have like did you have to have your dad drop you off?
No, I was able to drive. Yep, I
That's
had my own little Pontiac Grand Prix. The thing was junky, but it got me everywhere where I wanted to go. So
That's awesome.
yeah. And funny enough, I actually I remember gutting that deer out and throwing it in the back of that car, and there was blood all over the place in that car. And yeah, I remember
I
that.
bet that was fun to clean and smelled great.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, that was my first time harvesting a deer ever. It was crazy.
That's what got you addicted.
Yeah, it was wild. Because I never experienced anything like that. It was how did you guys react your first time, harvesting a deer? Because mine was just complete blackout, adrenaline, everything.
My
got
first
a good
one, I
story,
freaked
but-
out and I shot. So I didn't get to hunt by myself until 6th grade. And there was times that like I'd be with my dad and he'd be like, all right, today's your turn to kill a deer. And then tomorrow will be my turn. So we kind of, and I mean, and we were on the same spot. He wasn't taking me one spot and then his day going another one. Every day on his turn, he was getting the big deer. And I was just like, man. And so finally at 6th grade, I was like, Dad, come on. Just let me hunt by myself. It's a 200-yard walk in. You guys are a half mile away. I can call you. I was like, and I actually didn't have a phone then. I actually, I had a watch and I knew when to get down and go to the gate and I'd sit there. And if I knew they were, sometimes I'd sit there and it'd be like 20, 30 minutes. And I'm like, all right, maybe they shot one, but no. So my first deer, late morning, I was supposed to actually crawl down and I had deer in front of me. And I was like, oh no, my dad's gonna be mad. He probably needs to get to town. So I had all these, you're just like, oh gosh, I'm gonna make him mad, and had all these different thoughts. Well, there's deer in front of me. And then lo and behold, boom, here comes this giant 8-point we've never seen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to shoot him. So I shot him. He ran off. Nothing. I could tell he looked hit. Shot with my 243s, about 280 yards. And I was like, man, that's weird. So I crawled. Well, and talking about the anger deal that Gunnar was saying, like you shoot the next thing that comes out in front of you. He was with the doe. She ran horseshoed around in front of me. So I was like, well, I just missed him. I'm going to shoot this doe. Boom. He falls over. And I was like, well, at least I got one down.
Yeah.
Well, I got to look for blood. And I'm still mad. Like, I'm like, I missed him. Like, I know I did. And I'm still mad. Well, I look up in the timber and there's just a rack sitting there. And I'm like, oh, there he is. So I pull up and shoot. And I'm telling you, I was young. Like, this was 6th grade many years ago. So I shoot at that. I didn't know if I hit it or not. Well, I remember sitting there and I was mad. Went up to the gate. My dad was pulling in. He's like, well, we heard the whole army shoot over here. What happened? And I was like, well, there's a doe down. And he's like, you shot a doe? It was opening morning too. I forgot to say that. He said, you shot a doe? And I was like, yeah. And because we usually didn't shoot does until special doe season. And I was like, but I missed the big one. And he's like, oh man. Well, he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I think I did. I said, but I shot at him twice, so there might be a chance. And so we went to town. My brother took me back out there. And at that time, me and my brother did not get along. So like we were like 5 minutes out there and he's like, yeah, you suck. He didn't hit him. So we left the town. So of course I'm over there in the passenger seat, just like, I hate hunting. Never coming out here again. And I went back and we owned a restaurant in town and he dropped me off there. And I went inside. My dad was cooking. He had to take a shift over. And he was like, well, did you find it? And I was like, no. And he goes, well, what happened? I said, well, we pulled out there and my brother said I sucked and we came back. So we go and he's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, he's like, it's cold out. Give it a couple hours and we'll go find your deer. And we went out there and just walked the creek line. And where I saw him last, he was like 10 yards right there. And you said, how did I act? I mean, I was walking, and then like it was boom, there he was. And I remember just like stopping and like going, nuh-uh, no way. And then it was just like like freaking out. And then he's like, well, didn't you shoot at one over here? And I was like, and then it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was just like, yeah. And he goes, oh no. But we went over there and looked and never found anything, never found blood. I mean, we looked and looked. So never found that deer. So I don't know what I shot at, but I remember when how I acted that first time. Was insane. Now, the first time I shot my archery buck, you'd have thought I shot the biggest thing that ever walked this earth. And I freaked out. He came from behind me. I knew this deer was out there, but I was going to pass him. But at that time, that was my biggest buck to date. And I pulled back and let it sling. And as he ran up the hill, I could see the arrow sticking out both sides of him in blood. And I was screaming. And I didn't know Gunner at that point, but if he's hunting, he might recall hearing me scream like a girl because I was very excited. So yeah, no, I get very emotional, like pumped up, heartbeat.
Yep.
And
That's
of course,
how I am.
And then phones came along, and I'm trying to call Gunner, trying to call my girlfriend, trying to call my mom, trying to call my dad. And so yeah, that's how I react.
Yep.
Gunner
What about you,
cries.
Gunner?
Just kidding. Gunner just starts bawling.
Well, which one do you want to hear about? So my first year ever was a doe. That was a weird story. My first buck ever was another crate. I don't know if I have a deer hunt that didn't turn out weird. I don't know what I did, except for like lately when I got older. But when I was younger, about every deer I killed, it was unconventional, to say the least. So like
how'd you react?
I wasn't like super pumped. Okay, so let me preface this.
I'm going to say this real quick. Gunner is one of the most chilled guys there is when it comes to harvesting something. He is the most laid back, chilled. Like he'll tell you what happened. You can tell he's a little pumped, but like sometimes I'm just like for instance, the time he called me and told me he shot, he told all I could hear was big 8. So I thought he shot his 8 point. He was just like, hey, I could tell he's excited. He's like, I shot the big 8. And I was like, sweet, I'll be right over there. And that's when it turned out to be the state record deer. And but when I got there, he was excited. But when he calls me, I'm telling you, it's just like this. He goes, hey, I just shot one. I'm like, okay, I'm headed over.
Stone cold killer.
Well,
I had to shot
my
one.
dad,
I think he went down.
Growing up, when I was like playing, like even at an early age when I was playing sports, my dad always told me, he's like, act like you've been there before, and everyone will respect you for it. So that's always, I don't know why, that's just always been something I've thought about. Act like you've been there before. And that's just always been, I don't know why, that's just always
two polar opposites in the group.
Just act like you've been there before. But my first ever deer I ever killed, I had shot like the biggest half rack of all time right in the chest, and he lived. And like an hour later, a doe came out and I shot it. And I wasn't that excited because I had just shot like a 6.5-year-old half rack in the chest with a 223. And that was the day my dad decided that he was going to get me a new gun because he was mad. So we were out there at Rubidoo's place over there by like the Sooner area, whatever. And this, just massive half rack that Dad was very, very content with me killing that year. Walks out and he's like, all right, aim for that white right on that neck. Boom. We saw it just go seize part. Poosh. I smoked him. And Dad's like, he's like, I think he's dead. So we go over there and there's like pieces of like meat all in like where I shot him, like he's dead. And we track him. He's bleeding. And then all of a sudden it just stops. And we're like, what? What happened? And we go back and sit down. He's like, okay, if the doe comes out, whatever, we can shoot it. And I ended up killing a doe, and Dad's trying to drag him out without me knowing. So he's like trying to walk straight up, because I shot that one, it died pretty fast. So I was like, oh yeah, I killed a doe. I was mad because I just shot that other buck. Well, like 2 weeks later, that buck, somebody had called Dad and it's like, I see that buck Gunner shot. He's out there, looks like he's like half alive. Like apparently he was like, couldn't barely move. I don't know how he is alive, but my first ever buck. Do you want to hear about my first ever buck or the state record buck wasn't? I've told that story 100 times, but I killed him. I called a bunch of people and it was cool whenever we went out there. And I mean, I like hugged on that deer before everybody got there. I was like, thank you, man. Like that was a little bit more emotional. That one was, but so like my first ever buck I killed was a 7 point, little bitty 7 point. My dad was sick, so I went with my grandpa. My dad could not handle it because he just knew I was going to kill a buck that night. So he went and sat on the other end of the field. So like we came in and walked down the tree line and like we're across the field. Dad went and set up where we came in at so he could just kind of watch the field in case I killed one. And my grandpa was out there and I'd already passed a nice buck. So Dad didn't know if I was going to be a hunter. He's like, I don't know if this guy's going to want to kick. He's like, how's this guy passing deer? I'd already passed one. To my defense, if I remember right, I couldn't hardly see through the scope very well. So yeah. I got flustered, I think, is what ended up happening. But anyway, this 7 point walks out, and I'm like, all right, this time, it's time. and G-Paw's like, all right, take your time, stay on him. Boom, just sack of potatoes, drops him. And my dad comes running around the corner. Yeah! I'm like, you're here? He's like, yes. And I go out there. I run out there. And we all run out there, and that was that was my first ever buck. I still have his antlers somewhere, either here or at my parents' house. I still have them. I wrote the date inside. We just skull capped him. I wrote the date inside there, so I remember, when I killed him and everything. And yeah, that was fun. That one. I've had some crazy stories though, but we won't get into everything.
Yeah, Gunner's had some unreal stories. Thank you for coming on tonight, Drew, or this evening. By the time people hear it, it'll be morning. But thanks for coming on. If there's people listening that kind of want to check you out or buy any of your saddles, where can they go for this?
Instagram, Bullpath Gear on Instagram, and then Facebook, Bullpath. You can buy any gear that we sell on those platforms, or you can go to our website at bullpathgear.com.
Sweet. So if you're on YouTube, they'll be in the description below. And like I said, Drew, thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure. It's been awesome watching you grow. And definitely Gunner and I are going to try your saddles. We've been talking about it for 2 or 3 years, and I think it's time. But thanks for your dedication and the quality that you put and the quality and time you put into your product. There's some people that don't really care. They're just more about the money. And in my eyes, you're not. You're about, I'm going to put a product out there and it's going to grow.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that. Thank you for your dedication. And thanks for coming on tonight. It meant a lot.
Well, I appreciate it.
No problem.
It's an honor, and just that compliment right there is what, keeps me pushing forward. So I greatly appreciate it.
Next week will be episode 7. We'd have no idea who's coming on, but we'll figure that out. But no, if you guys haven't, we talked about this 2 episodes ago. My Outdoor TV. If you guys watch that, use promo code Outdoor Defiance, and you get a free month subscription. And so all you got to do is go in there, and like I said, in the promo code, put Outdoor Defiance, all one word, if I can get everything out right. And you'll get that subscription for a month. So you guys go do that. Go check out his socials. Go check out our socials. We're about to have a turkey hunt up on YouTube. So until next time, this is Gunner right here. Oh, let me get my finger right. This is Drew. And peace out.